as luck would have it, an opportunity happened backstage with our next speaker, Jeff Hoffman, who is a master storyteller. And so we agreed very quickly that I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I had planned and tell you some stories that I'd planned. And then I think Jeff's going to tell you some stories, and maybe we'll mix it up a little bit here. So I'm going to motor through some of my comments so we have an opportunity to have a conversation with you. So I do want to talk to you about luck and tell you a little bit, a couple of stories as to how luck played out with me, but I'm not going to talk about this kind of luck. You know, not the luck that wins the lotto and now you never have to talk to a venture guy again. This is a term sheet that was worth about $6.5 million for the guy who had all the right numbers in the right place. Pre-money value of I'll never have to talk to a VC again, and he can do whatever he wants. But that's a hard term sheet to get. It takes a lot of work. I'd rather do Sand Hill Road than try to invest my fundraising energies that way. I also am not going to talk about the divine hand of intervention that gets, convinces you somehow to take the earlier flight, or, thank God, got a lot of people off of that flight without severe injury. That's a different kind of luck. I want to talk about the kind of luck that we create for ourselves when we get our lucky break. And a lucky break really is an opportunity that comes to us, and is a time when all of the work that we have done as entrepreneurs, as students, as people in the world, puts us in a place that we can take advantage of those situations. So the story starts for me in 1995. And it is just a point in my career when I made the pivot from being a journalist to running the demo conference, which was for me a transformative experience and really started me on the path to entrepreneurship. Now, I had the privilege of being an entrepreneur kind of within a large corporation, with Ziff Davis Publishing, and I was running a new magazine, and there was an issue in our executive suite. The company had had some problems with an executive who, let's just say, wasn't behaving most appropriately. And I went to HR and I said, I think we need to pay attention to this and take preventative action before a lawsuit ensues. And a week later, the head of HR came to me and offered me a severance package. So my bad luck, I didn't really think ahead to how they might perceive this situation. I thought I was doing them a favor. They saw it as an opportunity to reduce their ranks. But that opened up another opportunity for me to interface with luck again. In the spring, I was interviewing for a job with Stuart Alsop, the guy who founded the demo conference. And Stuart, at that point, had a conference that really rested on who he was as an analyst and an imprimatur in the industry. And he would go around and he would collect up all of the companies and the new products that he thought were interesting, and he'd put them on stage at this conference. And I had attended the conference, and he asked me what I thought about it, and I told him in great detail that I thought it had some problems. And over lunch, I just did the unusual thing for me. I told him exactly what I thought. And at the end of the lunch, he had this little wry smile, and he said, well, if you think it's so bad, why don't you come fix it? So my good luck. I was able to share an opinion at the right point and the right time, and it seemed to resonate, and I got a chance to go do something pretty fantastic, which was to take the reins of this event, which had at that point been operating for about 5 years, as a show and tell for, at that time, some of the big companies in the industry. So I did my first demo conference in 1997, very much on the pattern that Stuart had established. A couple of shootouts, we brought in the big guys, Microsoft, Lotus, Borland. A couple of companies were launching for the first time, but that really wasn't what the event was about. It was about collecting up interesting new products and showing them to an audience of investors and corporate development people. Well, my bad luck, because this guy came up into my face. This is Roger McNamee, and he told me it was the worst conference he'd ever attended. He'd seen everything before, and it was a complete waste of his time. Now, I don't know what the other, 990 people in the audience thought, but I never wanted to see this guy in my face again. So I made some decisions at that point that were really about being defensive. Right? I decided that if he'd already seen everything, and if most of the audience were investors anyway, they saw this deal flow, I was going to change the event to be all about first-time product launches. And the good luck in that decision is that it completely shifted demo from an event that was about the big companies and what they might ship when, to an event that was all about startups and entrepreneurs. And that really changed the nature of the event, and it changed the nature of my career. In that same year, I invited a company called Hot Office to present at demo. Hot Office is a little company in Florida that no one had heard of, and you probably, I'd be surprised if you've heard of them. They weren't largely successful, but at the time, they created an application that allowed a user to use a web browser to do word processing and work with a spreadsheet, that kind of thing, various office applications. Well, people like Roger and others got up in my face again and said, this is the most stupid thing anyone could ever bring to a conference like this. This is about innovation, and no one is ever going to use a web browser to run software. It's just not designed for that. So my bad luck, I guess, a bad choice there. Let's see. What happened in '99, I already alluded to. I turned the event around. I made it all about startups and all about launches. And we had some incredible experiences there with companies that really did some amazing things. And I'm going to fast forward here because I want to optimize your time and mine with Jeff to talk about another bad decision here, or bad luck, which was all about timing. In 2000, I had co-founded a company called Papuli Sports, which is, by the way, my bad luck. You should never ask me to help you name a company, because I will choose a name that cannot be spelled or pronounced. But I started Papuli Sports. It was focused on women athletes, and it was an e-commerce and news site. We grew very quickly. We had an offer in the spring of 2000 to be acquired by Fogdog, which at that time was the leading e-commerce sports site. My bad luck, the timing, the company, Fogdog made its offer at $5 a share. Within a week in the diligence process, their shares dropped to 50 cents, and the deal was off. But I had some good luck in 2002 because that's the year that Salesforce.com announced the end of software. They launched at demo, and I was vindicated for my choice of Hot Office 3 years earlier. Now, I'm telling you these stories not to suggest that I'm particularly clever or even particularly lucky, but to talk about, as Devon said, when opportunity meets preparation, you can make your own luck. And the work you're doing here today, the work you're doing building your companies, isn't really about can you get lucky? Can the divine hand of Providence reach down and bless your company and make you successful? Can Lady Luck spin the wheel and suddenly you get funded and you're very successful? It's really about everything you bring to your business that can make you lucky and bring that elusive ingredient to your entrepreneur hero story. So in 95, when I made that decision to go to human resources, what I didn't do was really think about the full consequences of the decision I was making. I thought I was doing the right thing for the company, but I wasn't thinking about the company and what was the right thing in a grander context for them. So you make your luck by being clever about where you jump and when, and really understanding the full circumstance. I think our instincts often tell us to just dive right in as entrepreneurs, but I would say that you're luckier for looking before you leap. But you have to have the courage of your convictions. When I sat down and talked to Stuart, he was kind of, I was actually interviewing for a different job. I really didn't have much to gain or lose, so I thought in telling him what I thought. But I felt that sharing it with him honestly would give him some value. I wasn't realizing I was in a different interview, but I was able to be very frank and very candid with him in a way that created this new opportunity. So knowing what you feel and having the courage to stick to those convictions and to share those in the right environment will bring you a new kind of luck. You got to listen to your critics. It is so easy to decide that you can dismiss that face of Roger McNamee that still haunts me today is something that I should just go get some therapy about and get over. But the reality is that by listening to him, And it drove me to make some decisions about the event that completely turned the fortunes of that program and, frankly, of my own career. So listening to your critics, taking from those conversations the pieces of value that can allow you to create newness is a kind of luck that you need to embrace. Don't limit your opportunity to be lucky by only listening to the people who tell you what you want to hear. But you have to trust what I think of as informed instincts. And this isn't just that gut feeling that says, gosh, I think that hot office guy is going to be big one day. Because in fact, they weren't. The company ended up going out of business before Salesforce even launched. But knowing that something in that was valuable, something in the way that I reacted to it was valuable, and taking that hunch and comparing it to other pieces of information that I had, that informed instinct allowed me to move forward with that choice. You bring so much experience to your instincts. It's not just about a gut feel or a hunch, but it's all the experience you have in building your business, in having been in business, having been in school, having done everything that you've done, that you bring to every moment of opportunity, moment of luck, and you've got to trust those instincts. But you also have to make the changes you need to make. Right? It is not lucky to hold to your convictions in a way that does not allow you to be flexible. Take the opportunity to listen to your heart, listen to your gut, listen to your critics, and then do what you need to do for your business. Because sticking to your knitting can often be the most unlucky thing that you can choose to do. I would say that luck, however it is, favors the swift. When you know something is right in your heart, go for it. Had I been able to move more quickly, perhaps, with our acquisition discussions with Fogdog, I would be here giving a very different talk. So taking those instincts and moving forward, making your own luck happen faster, but I would say doing that without being overzealous. Be patient, wait for those right moments. And then I would say, when you do get it right, you got to own it. It's easy to say, here was Hot Office, here's Salesforce, wasn't that a coincidence? Boy, was I lucky. And I tend to default to that side of the humility scale. But you know what? I was right about Hot Office. And I was right about Salesforce. And I want to own that. Because that's not luck that made that happen. That was my experience, my instincts, my ability to make those decisions. And I think oftentimes, as entrepreneurs, we decide that luck is the grand hand that makes these good things happen, and we don't own our successes. And I want you to own those successes, small and large, that you make every day because of the work you do. So the last thing I just want to say very quickly, and then I'm going to turn the stage back over to Jeff, is that I hope you all get very lucky, but you're going to have to get to work to do it. Thanks. Thanks.